Welcome to this explainer. Close your eyes for just a second. I want you to imagine standing at the edge of the ocean at midnight, looking up at a sky so incredibly full of stars that it actually makes you dizzy. You know that feeling? That vast, quiet, vertiginous scale? Well, that is the exact mindset we're stepping into today. We are exploring the Bodhisattva Pitaka Sutra, and specifically, we're diving into its descriptions of the staggering scale of the Buddha's wisdom. This is a text that literally stretches the very limits of human imagination, moving from the microscopic all the way to the cosmic in a single breath. Okay, let's dive into this. The sutra paints an intense, honestly almost terrifying picture right from the start. Imagine the entire cosmos, what the text calls the 3,000 great thousand worlds, completely ablaze. Just an apocalyptic fire consuming absolutely everything. And right in the dead center of this infinite cosmic chaos is the Buddha. But here's the thing, he isn't reacting. He remains in deep samadhi, a state of profound, impenetrable meditation. His mind is completely, entirely unmoving. It's a portrait of absolute stillness, placed deliberately amidst absolute destruction. This intense scene introduces us to the core concept of the text, inconceivable wisdom. I really want you to let the massive weight of this concept settle over you for a moment. We're not just talking about being incredibly intelligent here. This is a level of omniscience, a level of power that completely defies human logic. You literally cannot measure it. It has absolutely zero physical boundaries. Trying to wrap our minds around it, well, it's a lot like trying to capture the entirety of empty space in a net. To help us even begin to understand this scale, the sutra offers up a massive thought experiment. In the text, there's a disciple named Mahāyāna. Now, he is renowned among all of the Buddha's followers as the absolute greatest when it comes to supernatural and magical powers. So the text asks us to imagine something. What if every single living being in the entire universe, across all realms, all dimensions, suddenly possessed the exact same ultimate magical power as Mahāyāna? And this brilliantly illustrates just how massive the gap is. The sutra states that even if you took all of that combined, unimaginable cosmic power from every being in the universe, and you put it all together, it would still be less than 100 billionth of a fraction compared to the Buddha's power. Basically, the sutra is using mathematics to break down our very understanding of strength. It's telling us that this wisdom is fundamentally, mathematically incomparable to anything we've ever known. Then, the text grounds all this crazy cosmic math in a highly visceral microscale image. It asks us to picture the Buddha simply taking a single, tiny mustard seed, literally one of the smallest things imaginable, and placing it on the ground. Just one tiny, solitary seed. Now picture the combined supernatural strength of the entire universe, struggling with all its collective might against this tiny little object. Yet, despite all that power, they cannot move that single mustard seed a hair's breadth. It's such a breathtaking image, isn't it? The physical struggle of billions of worlds completely and utterly failing against the effortless, quiet power of the Buddha's will, merely holding that seed in place. From that intense, microscopic focus, the text forces us to zoom all the way out to the macro level again. It describes a moment in the distant future when the universe, these 3,000 great thousand worlds, once again becomes a single, terrifying, blazing cluster of fire. Imagine everything, everywhere, just being reduced to ash. Yet, right where the Buddha sits, that apocalypse cannot touch him. The sutra lists 10 rare phenomena that spontaneously appear, instantly transforming all of that fiery destruction into a tranquil oasis of pure, unshakable safety. Now, what's really interesting about this is the ultimate meeting of universe-ending violence and absolute, unshakable stillness. The text introduces the Vajrayana wind. This is a cosmic storm so violent it can shatter Mount Sumeru and blow entire galaxies to dust. Picture that absolute mind-bending devastation. Yet, the Buddhist simply raises the tip of his finger. And with just that microscopic motion, the terrifying cosmic wind is completely silenced. Not a single hair on his robe even moves. But beyond the physical lies the omniscience of his mind, the 10 powers. A perfect knowledge of cosmic cause and effect. A light reaching down into the darkest, interstitial hells between world systems, a void where no natural light has ever touched. The sutra uses this to map out a strict, mathematical logic of reality. For instance, it tells us that it is impossible, There is simply no such place in reality for anger and hate to be the root cause of physical beauty. It just doesn't work that way, but it is perfectly possible for patience and endurance to cause beauty. The text builds on this rhythmically. It reads almost like a hypnotic cadence of universal law. There is no such place versus there is such a place. It is impossible for stinginess to result in great wealth. That defies the actual physics of karma. But it is entirely possible, and frankly guaranteed by universal law, that generosity results in great wealth. So the crucial point is that this universal tracking goes infinitely deep. It's impossible for ignorance to sever our deep-rooted habits and traumas. Only wisdom can do that. And the Buddha's mind perfectly holds the entirety of this logic. He sees every single being's past actions, their present state, and their future destiny in one simultaneous, panoramic, infinite view. Perceiving the exact roots, the faculties, and the destinies of every single living being, effortlessly. It is exactly like holding the count of every single grain of ash in the ocean right there in his mind without skipping a beat. Let's move on and see how this builds, because all of these phenomena, the unmoving seed, the silenced cosmic wind, the flawless mapping of universal karma, they all tie back to one absolute truth. Trying to measure this wisdom is like trying to measure the void itself. It is boundless. It is as expansive and uncontainable as empty space. Which leaves us with this final, suspended thought. If the physical space of the universe has no edge, how can a mind that perfectly comprehends it have a boundary?